Hi, it's Bitty Penny. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to show you guys how I made a really simple junk journal. You could just make this with plain paper. It doesn't have to be a junk journal. It could be a regular writing journal. But I used the cover from a 12 by 12 used up paper pad, and then I picked two pieces of 12 by 12 paper for a front and inside cover. Now, I brought in my paper to see how big I needed this journal to be. And height-wise, it was 8.75. That just gives me a slight extension, but not too much past the edge. And then these are my scraps. Now, when it comes to the crease that I'm going to create, now this is essentially the same thing, but actually when you have a fold, you want a little more edge. So see how this has much more edge than the top and bottom? That's because once you fold here, everything's gonna scooch over to the right? So once I put that fold in, it's gonna scooch over. So this is essentially 5.5 when it's folded, the booklet, the insert. And so a 6-inch is going to work just fine for this journal. So I actually don't have to trim this paper. It's currently 8.75 by 12. I can just score at the 6 on the 12-inch side and we're good to go. So I score all three pieces that are going to be glued together to make my cover. So yeah, this is the cover to the paper pad that I used up. I save those. I save the front and back when a paper pad has those types of covers. Okay, so now I'm just have this here and I'm just kind of going to clean up the edges a little bit. Whenever you're folding multiple pieces together, like this one, you'll have a little overhang from time to time. And I'm actually going to end up cleaning that up one more time. So I'm not getting it perfect right now. Now, this part of the process is pretty important. I really feel like a very strong double-sided tape and glue are kind of both ideal when constructing this. Now, I'm not going to the very edge on this journal as I glue things because I know I'm planning on stitching around it. And if you put, this is from a cherry on top, this double-sided tape, but if I were to put that where I'm planning on stitching, it would tear up my sewing machine. So I'm having to keep that all in the center. And I definitely think the more of this you put down, the less ripples you'll have. The other thing after making 6 of these that I discovered is that doing it like this is most ideal. So gluing down one panel at a time. So this is my front cover panel. Remember, everything's scored. And I'm going to glue this down first. I'm not doing both. I need to do one panel at a time. So now I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to take care of the back panel. And like on this one, I didn't use any double-sided tape, and I kind of wish I had because it just causes a little less rippling and just gives you that added support and security. Now the glue I use would hold it together. There's no doubt in my mind, but I think both are ideal. Okay, so my front and back cover are done. Now this is the inside. And this is what I wasn't too keen on. So on this piece, what you're going to see me do is kind of glue them both down at the same time. And what I had happen when I used this approach is that center spine just really didn't flatten out and fit in the groove of the other center spine that I'm laying it on top of like I wanted it to. It was fine, it's all good, but I just found more success doing the panels one at a time, and especially for this inside one because you really want to butt it up to that crease. You want that crease to kind of be your first center of where you're putting your paper and then work outwards from there. And that's what I found worked best. I am using a bone folder just to kind of burnish everything in. And now I have a cover for my journal. So easy. Okay, I grabbed a scrap. So this is all 3 of my pieces that I used to construct my cover. I took it to my sewing machine and I wanted to give it a test run, because if my sewing machine didn't like it, then I don't have to stitch it and I wouldn't ruin my cover. So I like to do a test like this sometimes. And I figured out that my sewing machine had no problem with this combination, and so I went ahead and stitched around. And now I'm going to insert my pages. So these pages, I put all of these together from scraps. So I had scrap printables and then all kinds of paper scraps in my stash. I went through and I was able to make like 8 signatures just from scraps alone by adding a few printable pages and tea-dye paper. Okay, so I have this We Are Memory Keepers bookbinding buddy, and it's fine, it's great, but you don't need this, not at all, to do what I'm doing here. I am not even measuring necessarily. I'm just kind of going with what works for me. And essentially, I like my holes to be 1 inch inward from the top and bottom, and then centered somewhere along in the middle. I don't worry about this too much because oftentimes, well, for one, it's just not that visible or noticeable. And it just, for me, I just don't have to measure this. I'm fine with eyeballing it. If you want to be really precise, you can measure this to get your 3 holes. And I am going to hand stitch these pages together. So I've got these clips, and these actually came from my local grocery store, and I love them. I bought a couple of packages, and they're just so handy. They don't mar my paper, but they're very strong, so they hold it together but don't leave marks or impressions on it. So now that I have my holes lined up in my paper, I'm going to go ahead and poke them through to my cover. Clipping it together like this just holds everything together nicely so that you can make sure to line things up. The tool that I'm using is called an awl, and it's a typical bookbinding tool. They run about $3. And on this one, I'm using waxed thread. You can get, if you've never done junk journaling or made journals, but you're interested in it, you can get a really inexpensive, like, book tool binding kit for less than $10. That'll have a ton of this wax thread. It'll have your awl. It'll have needles, all kinds of things for you on Amazon. So definitely check it out if that's something you're interested in. But you can make these with if you're a card maker, with so many of the supplies you already have on hand. You know, you could make a simple writing journal that doesn't have to have all the various pages inside like mine does. There are bukus of printables on Etsy for junk journals where you can get these lined pages that you print out on your printer, plus amazing designs. They're really inexpensive. You can get them for less than $1 a lot of times, definitely less than $5. You can get some really awesome kits in the $5 to $10 range. Like, there's so many options. And the construction really is quite simple, and these hold up over time. So I did a simple stitch, and now a really important thing is making sure everything is very taut here. You don't want to stretch or mess up your paper, and you want to make sure these 2 strings are on opposite sides of that center thread. That way, when you tie your knot, it doesn't pull back through. So if you put them on the opposite sides of that center string and you tie these knots, it will not pull back through the journal. And that is really kind of a critical thing of the hand stitching for your binding your journal. But that's it. That's all there is to it. Our journal is constructed. We have the cover, the pages, and the binding done. So now it just comes down to decoration. Super fun, super easy. And here are the ones that I made today. I did make this one that was Peter Rabbit themed. It had a few more tuck places and tips, like little junk journal tricks in it, but not too many. I have found that I really like a simple journal now. Like, I like all the various pages, but I really don't like all the tuck spots and different things until I start journaling. So I have been simplifying mine. I used to do all these fancy fold outs and tuck spots and all of these things, and I just don't do that anymore. I did put this triple pocket in here, which is fun. I have a whole bunch of these made already, so I just find one that coordinates color-wise and add it in. I used an envelope and made that a tuck spot. So I have a few, but just not too many. And that way, because I'm crafty, I can do all of that as I go and in a way that works for me and my journaling process. So I thought this one was super lovely. I love that paper so much with the birds. And then with these, I used seam binding for my thread instead of the wax thread. And then these are just all random cardstock pieces, book pages. This is a piece of paper that looks like handmade paper, has a texture of handmade paper, but I actually just made it with copy paper. And there's a couple of those in here. So I definitely made these for my upcoming craft fair. I'm hoping to have maybe 15 or 20 of these made for that. I'm going to charge $20 a piece. They are so fast. In fact, you guys, I kept this video pretty much in real time so you could see what it was like for me to construct it. It's super fast and lots of fun. I think these would make fantastic gifts to give for the holidays. You know, a lot of my video content has been geared around projects I can make for this craft fair, but what's cool about that, if you don't do craft fairs, is that you can use these ideas to make gifts for your loved ones during the holidays if you like. So this is the final one I'm flipping through for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed this. Don't worry, there will definitely be more card videos coming up in the future. I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend. Thanks so much for hanging out with me here on my channel. And there's one last journal in here that's not like the others, but I didn't show you how to make that one today. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.